Asia in the University of Limerick. So really happy that you could all join me this afternoon. So I'm just going to presume that you know nothing about Limerick and start from scratch, if that's okay. I'm sure you all know plenty, but I'm just going to presume that you don't. So you'll see on this map, Limerick, University of Limerick's right over on the west coast. That coast is called the Wild Atlantic Way because just to the right of it, across the Atlantic Ocean, or just to the right of it is the Atlantic Ocean. So we also have a international airport there, which is just about 20 minutes outside the airport. So really handy destination to get to, and to explore sort of the UK and the rest of Ireland from as well. You'll see here a couple of snippets where it says, Limerick is the third largest city in Ireland. We've got Dublin, which is the capital, then we've got Cork, and then we've got Limerick. But because it's the third largest, it also means it's slightly more affordable than the other cities. So this is a glance of Limerick City. It's a real mixture of old and new. The castle that you see down at the bottom of the slide is called King John's Castle, and it's about 400 years old. So you see a lot of that in Ireland. And then we've got lots of modern bars and restaurants and art galleries, that kind of thing. So it's a really lovely mix. So I think one of the main reasons that students would choose Ireland as a destination is because it's very safe. It's known for its safety. And we're a really friendly nation as well. So those two factors really come into play when people are making their decision. We get rain. We get probably a lot more rain than a lot of other countries, but because of that, you'll see behind me is a bird's eye view of the campus, and we're just surrounded by lush green countryside. Loads of people out walking, hiking, cycling, running. It's a really, really beautiful landscape. And we don't care about a bit of rain. We put our hoods up and we get on with it. And even with the sports that we play and everything, everybody is outside all of the time. So in terms of the campus, again, quite a mix of new and old, but the campus itself, the university itself only was started 52 years ago. So it's a young university. But as the years have gone on, we've just added and added to it. So it's spread out, and we've now got 344 acres worth of a campus. Oh, excuse me, 366 acres I see there on the slide. You'll see we have 429 laboratories, and it's a real mixed pot of nationalities in the student population. So we've got about 100 different nationalities represented. So we're a public university. So and it's open to the public. So quite often, you'll see people walking their dogs or running or cycling around the campus. It really lends itself to that because it's such a sort of peaceful place to be. We are ranked, let me just see, we're ranked highly in the young universities in the world because we're just 52 years old. And we've been voted year after year the best student campus in Ireland for the last number of years. This picture down at the bottom is our new Student Life building, which is due to open in a month or two. So that's just an example of how we're constantly building and expanding the campus. So when our students come to us in September, a really important part of the whole sort of welcoming is the orientation week that we have for our international students, where they will learn about all of the clubs and societies that we have on campus, of which there are about 80 in total. So we think it's really important for our students to just sort of have a look around, see what is out there for them, anything at all that will assist in making new friends, making new buddies, and making their stay in Ireland just a bit more comfortable and happy. So we take that really seriously, the whole orientation process in the first week. And then what we have is a 7 week program for the first 7 weeks that an international student is on campus. We keep a very close eye on them, and we are always sort of checking in, see if everything's okay, accommodation's okay, the students are okay, they look like they're making a few friends, and sort of bedding in is what we want to see. So, International Student Barometer Survey in November 2024, this was the outcome from that. These are where UL scored really highly, ranked really highly in the different categories. So, campus accommodation, this is quite typical accommodation here on this slide. All students will have a double ensuite room to themselves. And whether they want to share with, a group of other boys and girls is up to them, but they would only ever share a communal TV room and kitchen. Nobody will ever share a bedroom with anybody. You'll always have your own bedroom. We can accommodate 3,000 students on our campus accommodation, and we try really hard to accommodate international first year students as far as possible on campus. We think it's really important for international first year students to be on campus. In their second year, then you've got a bit more freedom, and hopefully you would have met a few buddies, and you might want to get off campus and think about some different options for accommodation. But certainly we really try as hard as we can to get you on campus for the first year. While you're on campus, if you can manage, you get into the accommodation. All of the facilities on campus are included in the cost of your accommodation. So you'll see here we have a fantastic sports arena, an indoor running path, an Olympic-sized swimming pool, lots of training fields. An Ireland's highest climbing wall. So lots going on campus. So this is our library. You'll see over here on the right, that's called the automated reserve collection. So what it is for unusual books that aren't out on the shelves. It holds thousands and thousands of books, but what it is, the librarian would type in the code of the book if you've requested it, and this machine, which we call ARC, would come along and find the drawer that the book is in, open the drawer and retrieve the book and bring it and give it to the students. So we're the only place in Europe that has it. It's a really lovely feature in our new library that the students love. Our library was renovated in 2018, so it's massive now. We have We still have the old part, but we also have the lovely new, all singing, all dancing, modern part. Lots of glass, so you can see out into, calm nature. There we have sort of collaborative teamwork rooms where you can chat and make a bit more noise, or we have soundproof rooms where students can just lock themselves away. But we have something for everybody in there. So really, really fantastic facility, our library. So these are the student supports that I mentioned earlier on, as well as our clubs and societies. We take the well-being of our students and students' mental health very, very seriously. And so we've got lots of facilities and tools in place for students who are maybe struggling a bit. And nothing is religion-based. There's always counsellors to go and chat to if they need it. We do have a prayer room on campus as well. And that we've just, if someone wants to go in and have a cup of tea with someone and a chat and just to sort of vent, or if someone's struggling a bit, not meeting any friends, we can introduce them to new clubs and societies. So lots of different tools in place to help our students. So now to the nitty gritty, we will do a sort of an overview of the programs available. We've got 4 faculties. I suppose that's fairly standard around most universities. Science and engineering, law and social sciences, business, and health sciences. So I guess what we are very well known for would be our science and engineering department. We have all kinds of engineering in the university, and what students really tend to like is the fact that you could come in and do what's known as common entry, where you cover all of the different types of engineering across the board, and then in your second year you decide which part of engineering you'd like to specialise in. And what we've found over the years is that students are less inclined to want to change their course or their program after their first year, chopping and changing, which is not great for a student to do. It's possible, but it's not great. It's not good for them to be doing that. And so we found that this has reduced the desire for students to do that, because they sort of get a broad feel of what engineering includes, and then they get to pick where they want to sort of specialize in. So you can do that in business, you can do it in lots of different faculties. Computer science as well is another one where you can do that. So all of our undergraduate programs have a mandatory 8-month, what we call co-op work placement in the middle of their degree. So it's normally in third year, but it may be in second year, depending on the program you're studying. It's paid, and the university will find that placement for you. We'll help you with your CV, we'll circulate your CV, and we have a dedicated department who does that for you. So all of our students do quite well out of that sort of internship program. And then our employability rates are very high after graduation because of this internship program, because quite often students will get offered work out of their as a result of their internships. As well as the internship, all students have the opportunity to go and study within Europe, within the EU, for 1 semester. That's part of the Erasmus and exchange opportunities. This is just some details about the internship program. And this is just a few of the large companies that we have in our database. We have 4,000 altogether. But what we do is, let's say a student is studying computer science, we would help them with their CV. We would circulate their CV to all of the companies relevant to the program they're doing. Then hopefully they would call for interview and get their placement. So for postgraduate programs, they can be 1 or 2 years in duration, but mostly 1 year full time. It's broken into 3 semesters. So we have September to December, then we have January to May, and then quite often there will be some kind of research program or dissertation during the summer. After postgrad, students can then stay and work for 2 years if they wish to do that. So students can also work part-time while they're at university. You can do up to 20 hours on your student visa, 20 hours a week. And then outside term time, you can actually do up to 40 hours per week if you were staying during the summer or something like that. The minimum salary is €13.50 per hour, which is a fairly good salary for working in a sort of a cafe or a restaurant or something like that. This just some details, which you're welcome to take a photograph of if you wish. If students do stay for 2 years after their postgrad or 1 year after their undergrad, they also have the option to change their visa to a full-time working visa. And there are some requirements for that, which you can see, but a lot of our students decide to stay and make Ireland their home. So in terms of fees, these are typical. And then hopefully students would benefit from the merit-based scholarship, which is 2,000 for most programs, but for business programs, it would be 2,500 per year. So that reduces the fees significantly. The same applies actually for postgrad. So yeah, that's the well, it didn't start in October 25. That should be 2024 running until July 25. It's very similar every year, the application window. I suppose the good thing about Malaysia is that because the students don't have to worry about securing a visa, you can send students up to quite late in the summer. And that's what I thought were the most pertinent points that I wanted to share with you. And I just wondered, does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Either type them into you can type them into the chat, or you can turn on your microphone and raise your hand and chat.
Yep, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat and we will go through them one by one. I think it was a good presentation. Quick overview of Limerick itself. I have a question before everyone else is waiting. I have a quick question. So the most common programs that students go into would be basically engineering, and if not engineering, it would be business programs. Am I right?
I would say at the moment there's a very high interest in computer science, AI, cybersecurity, that kind of thing, which you can go into common entry as well.
Okay.
We're really science and engineering, so that's always stayed high up in interest. And then definitely business, because our business school is triple accredited, so it's very well known, very well thought of. So again, you can go into common entry for business, but international business is particularly of interest at the minute, and business analytics, that kind of thing.
I see. So the business school is also triple crowned, which makes it
Yes.
think that's good because I realize in Europe and in like UK, not that many triple crown universities, especially compared to
Yes.
Australia. Australia doesn't have a
Right.
lot of triple crown, if you realize.
Oh, okay.
So if you
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
students next time,
So,
tell them Australia not many triple crown.
okay. Yes. So no, our business school's fantastic.
That's good to hear.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's another interesting thing that you mentioned is that you have a common first year for computer science. Because I think
Yes.
for like the computer science, cybersecurity, networking, software engineering, all those lines, not many universities actually have a common first year. And I
Okay.
reckon
Yeah.
because this field is quite new, a lot of students
Mhm.
tend to say, "Oh, I want to study computer science. I want to study
But I
IT."
don't, but I don't know
Exactly.
what kind of, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
They don't know the difference between software, cyber, networking, AI. They really have no idea.
Absolutely. Games development as
They
well
don't.
is another route that they could take. So
Correct.
that's all covered in the first year. So it's
It's good.
really, really, really good option for students.
Yep. And they have a little bit of trial of everything while they study in the first year. And that's when you get to
Yes.
know, oh, maybe I don't like this part. Maybe I don't like that part, but I like
Yeah,
this part. And that really helps
absolutely.
students to get into that field of computer science that they really like, especially if they're not very sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, we have.
And I mean,
Oh,
you
sorry, go
can
ahead.
imagine you can imagine how stressful it would be for a student to be sort of three-quarters way through their first year and thinking, I actually don't like this. I don't like the program that I've chosen,
Mhm.
and I'm maybe a bit scared to put my hand up and say I want
Yep,
to change programs. Whereas this just opens up it's a whole new ball game for students. They get to choose their own pathway. They've
mhm,
got a vague idea of the kind of program they want to do, and then they get to specialize after 1 year of trying everything. It's a really good, clever
yep.
incentive.
It's a good incentive. Yep, we have one question in the group chat. Can you please share the entry requirements for undergraduate students for A levels and Lao local curriculum? Not sure if it's on the website. Maybe you can show us there, or if you have a note on all those.
Yes, we don't have typical entry requirements for A levels and IB because it depends on which program that the student wants to go into. But if you if you're on our website and you're in a particular program, oh, do you know what?
Maybe
Let
you
me
can.
see. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, I'll try and share and I will show you an example. Let me see if this works. Um,
so I'm just randomly checking. Maybe I can ask you while you're checking as well. So for the common year, it'll just be Bachelor of Science in Computer Systems, or is it just the
yeah, yeah, look up computer science. Um, okay, let me see if I can let me share
sure?
so that you can see me actually going through. Okay, so this is you can see that now, right?
Yep, you can see the
This
website.
is the
Okay.
university, this is the website that you'll go into. Um, and so you go to this little search button, and I'm going to put in this is the program that one of your students is interested in. Let's see, computer science. Computer science common entry. I'm just going to scroll down. In Ireland, we go on a points system. So that's the number of points in Ireland that, if you were studying here, that you would need. And then what we do is we convert that. So you're going to scroll down to entry requirements. And I'm not going to look for Malaysia. I'm going to look for UK IB and A level,
Okay.
right? And here it converts the points for you. So you'll remember that the Irish points required for common
Yep.
entry computer science were 422. So
Yep.
that's going to fall into 3 B's and a C for A level and 30 IB points, including bonus points. Now, if your student is not at an international school, in that case, and I hope this works, in that case, you're going to be looking at Malaysia. And there you go.
I see. Our agent is from Laos, but I don't think there is a Laos option over here. So maybe you can
You know
check.
what? Not yet, not yet, but I'm working
Mhm.
on it because you know, I cover this area and I can see an
Yep.
increase in inquiries from Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos.
Yep.
Laos or Lao, I never know which way to pronounce it. Do you pronounce the S?
Usually people pronounce it as Lao.
Oh, Lao.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
may be
So,
wrong, but to what I know, most people pronounce it as Lao. Please correct me
all
if I'm
right.
wrong, guys.
So I've noticed that it's not on it because we just haven't had um, inquiries from Lao before. So I'm working with my admissions team to produce something,
Mhm.
and so but that it won't be ready for this September, definitely not. So I think if your student's at an international school, of course, it's going to be much more straightforward to
Yep.
go into UK, IB, and A level. But with Lao, there are all sorts of challenges because, you know, they might need a foundation, and then even if they're coming in with a degree already and they want to do a master's, they might need a pre-master's. So there's all sorts of different challenges because of the level in Laos. So bear with us, and hopefully for 2026 we'll have it up and running.
Fantastic. There's another question. Is Australia
Uh-huh.
Foundation accepted by the university?
So certainly in from some foundations in Australia, but we have like a restricted list where they are accepted from. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Just while you're on the phone there.
Sure. So just for everyone's information inside the chat, if let's say the entry requirement is not listed in the website and you'd like to double check, just let us know. You can either message myself, Tim, Pafan, whoever who is in charge of your end, and then we will also double check with the uni to let you guys know.
Absolutely. So from Australia, what we accept, good grades in year 12 examinations, including English, math. It doesn't actually. It doesn't actually mention a foundation from Australia. I think what we would have to do, you know, we have accepted them before, but I think what we would do is on a case by case situation. So if you do have any kind of unusual requests, definitely send them through Russell, and Russell and I can work through that and try to get an answer for you.
Yep, for sure. Not sure if you have any experience in this, but there's another question. What about a USA community college after completing associate degree for 2 years? Are they accepted? And if so, which year would they be going into? So would they be going into year 2, or do they have to restart the whole program?
Yeah, so we've got a new program set up actually specifically for that, for students who are exactly in that situation, which I will share with Russell after this. I'll share a link to it. It was only developed this year and it was launched this year specifically for USA students from community colleges who have done 2 years of their associate degree. So let me share the link to that after this call. And then Russell, you can share more
For sure.
widely.
No problem. That would be great. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a interesting thing with like how US is working now. We've been seeing an increase in inquiries for students who actually have studied like American degree transfer programs, or maybe they're already over
Right.
there and they're like getting a little
Okay.
strict. In fact, I'm not sure if you know, there was one university in Australia, super aggressive. The moment this news came out, they said that if you have an offer to a US university and you show it to them, they will give you their university's offer and they'll pay you 2,000 one off to come over.
Wow.
It was
Okay.
so aggressive, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's crazy
Taylor's.
aggressive.
Was it a Taylor's?
No, it's just as long as you have a US degree, you have a US offer letter, and you don't want to go there anymore, they're offering you to come to Australia and they'll pay you 2,000 as like a signing acceptance bonus, like that. So
Wow.
aggressive. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It's maybe a bit too much, but it probably worked for a while.
I think it did definitely because a lot of students are getting a little bit stressed about going to the US right now. So,
Absolutely.
and it's great that you guys launched this new program just in time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose everybody was looking out for the same thing. Um, but it's certainly worth knowing about. But let me see. Is I'm just going to see if anything's on our America um, entry requirements about it. But I think it's probably best that I share you the correct, the correct link to it. No, they haven't got it on the entry requirements yet, for the internal entry requirements that I was looking at. But you can always have a search around the website anyway. But I will share the correct link, Russell, after the
No
meeting.
problem.
Because America is not my region, of course. I just
Ah,
know that it was a big thing when
yep,
when it was launched during the summer.
yep. No worries. So, yep, I think that's about it from us. No
Okay.
other questions inside the chat, but if anyone has any,
Okay.
oh, another question came in. After completing the 4 years degree, is the degree accepted into masters in the USA or Australia? I would say it's a case by case, hard for us to assume, but generally,
Sorry, I wonder, do they mean after completing the degree in UL?
I believe so.
Oh, well, I mean, it's internationally recognized. I would be very surprised if a university in America or Australia did not accept an internationally recognized degree from Ireland. However, something to remember is that if a student does their degree, 4 year degree through the University of Limerick, and they then want to go on and do a master's, they pay, if they do it through UL, they pay just EU fees.
Oh,
So, yeah, so
interesting.
don't
Can you
worry.
share more about that?
Huh?
Can you share more? So, if a student, let's say, for example, I studied my bachelor's degree in UAL, and then I'm after maybe working about 1 year, I
Mhm.
decided I want to do my master's as well.
Yes.
So, if I do my master's as a returning student, then
Yes.
I only pay Europe fees.
EU fees, yes, which are
Oh,
substantially lower. So students don't need to go to America or New Zealand after doing their undergrad with UL. They can
interesting.
stay. It's an incentive for the student to stay. And then, of course, they get their stay back visa after that,
Of course,
and
yeah.
quite often then they decide to make Ireland their home.
Okay, I'm quite interested. So, if let's say, example, a student is studying engineering in Taylor's in Malaysia, all right?
Yeah,
And they decide to transfer their final year over to UEL. I know it's going to be a
yeah.
little bit difficult. Likely you won't get the final year transfer, but assuming they transfer over for maybe 1 or 2 years, and
Yeah.
they complete the bachelor's, and if they want to do a master's afterwards, do they still get the non-EU fees, or must they complete like all 4 years to get the
I
non?
think they need to have done all 4 years, Russell, but I will definitely check that.
That's interesting. Wow, because if they can get EU fees, that's really affordable.
Yeah. So annual. I'm going to check that for you, but I think it's just if they do the whole 4 years in
It
UL.
should be all 4 years, then it'll make more sense. Yeah,
Mm, yeah, but I'll check that. That there's two things I'm going to come back to you with after the call.
no problem. So yeah, I think that's it from all of us. Thank you so much for your time today. Really great
Thank
webinar. I
you.
learned a
It's
lot
really
myself.
lovely to meet you face to face. Oh,
Oh,
look, we
sorry,
got one
another
more.
question coming in. For Singapore diploma, do they get credit exemption for Australia and UK degree if their diploma is relevant to the degree program and based on their GPA? Does Limerick do that? As in, if okay, sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so are you saying that the diploma is UK diploma? For Singapore diploma, do they get credit exemptions for Australia and UK degree?
Uh,
Do you think that means do they get exemptions for an Irish degree?
Yes. So the question is, if I understand it correctly, is saying that, usually if a student has a Singaporean diploma from a polytechnic or something, and they apply to a Australia or a UK degree, they usually will get maybe half a year or 1 year off of credit transfers. Will it be the
Okay.
same for Limerick, or will it be separate?
Okay, so what they would do is again case by case, but rather than call it credit exemptions, what they would ask the student to do is apply to the admissions office, and it would go to the course director to decide. They would want to see
Ah,
a complete breakdown of the modules that the student has covered in their diploma, and they would make the decision about what year the student should go into. But quite often a diploma would allow you entry into sort of second or third year.
so it should be fine. I reckon everything will still be case by case. Best to submit to get the official answer from the admissions, but it
Absolutely.
it should be fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's possible.
When there is a will, there is a way. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for your time today. I love the questions that are coming in. I felt that all the questions that came in today were like really, how do I put it? Really
Really
in-depth questions.
relevant.
Yeah, they weren't like those weird questions.
Yeah.
Another question. Does the 1 year stay back visa apply to students that are going into year two? Maybe you can share a little bit of how the stay back visa works in Ireland.
So the stay back visa is only applicable to so they get 24 months in total. They can either come and do a master's and get 2 years after that, or they can do their undergrad and get a year and then do their postgrad and get a year. But they can, if they want to stay, there's always ways around it as well to apply, change the visa around to a working visa. But they should have completed their degree to be entitled to the stay back visa. So sorry, what was the question specifically?
Does the 1 year stay back visa apply to students that go into year two? Meaning that if it's a transfer student, do they
Yes,
get,
it
yeah.
does. Yes, it does. They certainly would get it as well. It's wherever they grad if they graduate from UL in Ireland, they'll get the stay back visa.
So as long as they graduate, they would be eligible for 1 year. And then after
Absolutely.
that, you can work for 1 year. You want to extend your visa, all this is up to you. But if
Yeah.
not, then you can possibly study another 1 year master's at EU fees,
Mhm.
if it's correct. And
Well,
rent
let me confirm.
double to be confirmed. To be confirmed. And after they done their masters, they can get another 1 year of working visa.
Yes, which again is extendable if they, you know, if they get
Yeah,
employment, if they
I
get
think
employment.
Ireland is quite flexible in that end compared to
Yeah,
other
yeah.
countries.
Well, I think especially for Malaysian students or Singaporean students, and you know there are other maybe countries where there's still quite tight restrictions on
Yep,
visas, but that you know everything's, as I was saying to you earlier, Russell. You know the landscape for everything is changing,
yep,
and more countries are traveling across the world, so things are changing.
yep, for sure. Alrighty. Thank you so much for your time today. It's a great webinar.
You're very welcome. It was lovely to chat to you all, and thank you to your team for being so engaged and the great questions. And yeah, hold on.
It's a thank you
Oh no, it's
question.
just a thank you, anonymous attendee. But good to meet you all, and we'll stay in touch and work together.
For sure. Thank you everyone for your time today.
Thank you,
Have a
Russell.
great end of the day. Nice seeing all of you guys. Bye bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.